Let's see if we have the same prediction here, Dalton, for number 15 Louisville at number 16 Notre Dame, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Got to get your Peacock subscription if you want to watch this game, unfortunately. But the storylines to know in this game, Dalton, Notre Dame probably can't afford to lose again because they really backed themselves into a corner after losing to Northern Illinois a couple of weeks ago. And because Notre Dame does not play in a conference, so they can't guarantee themselves a spot in the playoff by winning a conference title, it can't also they only play 2 ranked teams the rest of the year right now on their schedule. So their strength of schedule probably won't be as strong as other teams fighting for at-large bids as well. And with a 10-2 Notre Dame against other 10-2 teams, just looking at their strength of schedule, that might not be enough to make the college football playoffs. So right now, Notre Dame's kind of walking a tightrope where they have a loss already, and they almost can't lose another game the rest of the year because they don't play in a conference and their strength of schedule isn't all that great. I don't know if a 10-2 Notre Dame can get into the playoffs, so they really desperately need to beat Louisville this Saturday.
I don't believe they will get in with another loss because if there's any maybe one saving grace that there could have been for Notre Dame, it's if Northern Illinois went undefeated and ran through the MAC and won that title and had some huge season, but they came out the next week and lost to Buffalo in overtime. So that's shot. Now it just looks like a really bad loss, right? And they can't, like you mentioned with their schedule, they really can't afford another one. They need to win all the good games they can. They have Louisville on the schedule, Georgia Tech, they have USC on the schedule later. I'm with you. I still think they need to run the table, and it starts with this one, but this is not an easy assignment at all.
Definitely. And Dawn, you have the Notre Dame offense in this game, which has been very disappointing to start the season. You're going up against a very good Louisville defense. So what should we know to see if the Fighting Irish can get back on track in this game?
So they have very quickly, with Riley Leonard at quarterback, become one of these teams where they're just going to run the hell out of the ball, right? And it's just very clear that their passing game isn't even what it was last year with Sam Hartman. So I wanted to know, after scoring only 14 on NIU, what did we do to come back against Purdue and against Miami, Ohio? What did we do to make this better? And the answer is essentially just, we just lean into a 3-headed rushing monster of our own. We've got Jeremiah Love, who's been really good. Jadarian Price has been really good. And at least Riley Leonard's feet have been really good, right? So you've got, it's not as creative a run game with Mike Denbrock calling the plays as, let's say, a Georgia Tech or a Kansas State or a team like that just, or even like, say, a UCF, right, where it's just really creative and you got different concepts. Like, Mike Denbrock isn't the most complex run game guy, but they got 3 really good players who are running for a lot of yards. Okay, that's what they're leaning into. The problem is you've got a Louisville team who just played Georgia Tech and only gave up 98 yards on 36 carries. I mean, they were dominant. Their defensive line, especially, you talk about Ashton Gelati, Tramel Logan, Thor Griffith. I mean, they've got guys up front who can just bring the hammer on a team's offensive line, and you're holding them to 98 yards rushing. You know how Georgia Tech is. They want to run first and then take shots, right? And Haynes King played well on the passing side, but that's not where they prefer to live. And that's even more the case with Notre Dame. And I just have to question, where does Notre Dame look? I'm going to be honest with you. Haynes King or Riley Leonard? Who do you want?
Oh, boy. Probably Haynes King.
I would take Haynes King. And with their environment, and Georgia Tech, honestly, has more consistent receivers, too. You look at Riley Leonard this year, 58.4 passing grade. That's 125th in the country. And you look at it when they get away from run game and any play action, without play action of 58. Even in a clean pocket, missing throws.
69.5 in a clean pocket.
69.5 in a clean pocket's not great. It's 110th in the country, and they can't work downfield at all. Honestly, I know they've tried with Bo Collins and a couple other guys, but 48.2 on 10-plus yard throws. They are one of these teams right now. They just have to run the ball every single play, and this is not the team that you want to do that. They've got stars up front on their defensive line. Louisville's defensive line is right now, it's one of the elite units in the country. That's not where you're going to beat them, is up front. And Notre Dame's got a really young offensive line that's still kind of piecing it together. We've talked about they came into the year with 6 combined starts on their offensive line, and I know the 2 backs are great, and I know Riley Leonard's mobile, but keep in mind, Louisville beat Notre Dame last year, and they shut out Duke last year when Riley Leonard was there, and I believe in that game they only blitzed him 4 times the entire game. We talk about, hey, don't blitz Riley Leonard. Make him stand there. Make him beat you with his arm. And he didn't beat Louisville with his arm last year. And honestly, with what he's put up so far this year, I don't know that he can do that. So Notre Dame's going to be leaning heavy on a run game, but they're running into a brick wall in this Louisville defensive line. And the only thing I would say They may need Riley Leonard to win him this game. Louisville's had some issues in coverage. They're 103rd in the country in coverage grade. Haynes King had a really good week last week, but this Notre Dame passing game, they don't have the weapons. They don't have Eric Singleton and Malik Rutherford like Georgia Tech does. So I don't know where the answers come from in Notre Dame's passing game, but this could be a week where either they have it or they don't, and it could be the X factor in their entire season at winning or losing this game.
Yeah, definitely. And Notre Dame has to run the ball, really, and I think the same thing for Louisville. They got to run the ball, too, in this game. Louisville has been one of the most efficient offenses in college football this year. Right now, they're 6th in EPA per play, 4th in yards per play, and 8th in offensive grade. Also very balanced offensively, placing among the nation's top 15 offenses in both EPA per pass and EPA per rush. And Dolan, it's kind of surprising considering they lost Jawar Jordan, they lost Isaac Arendo from last year, and they're still running the ball really well. Guys like Isaac Brown and Duke Watson and Kewan Brown and Maurice Turner and Donald Chaney Jr., they have a very good committee backfield. They're going to need that run game against Notre Dame in this game because Notre Dame has been stellar against the pass, 3rd in EPA per pass right now. Notre Dame's defense has been 2nd best coverage grade in the nation. You got superstar defensive backs like Benjamin Morrison right behind me, Xavier Watts as well. Other guys were really, really good in that secondary. It's almost impossible to consistently get open against the Fighting Irish. Now, Colin Lacey might be coming back for this game. There's been a lot of talk that he's practicing right now. He's trying to get back. He hasn't played all year. He probably will be Louisville's number 1 receiver when he is out there. But even so, Notre Dame's defense against the pass is so elite. I will say, though, Notre Dame's run defense is 40th in EPA per play, and they allow 4.3 yards per carry, which is 55th in the country. So I really think for this Louisville offense, it isn't about Tyler Shuck and those receivers. It's about this backfield, that committee backfield they have right now, and their offensive line to carry this team to victory. So Notre Dame's got to run the ball in this game to win it, and I think that Louisville has got to run the ball to win this game as well.
Yeah, and that's Louisville's plan. That's Jeff Brom's plan is run the ball well, get to play action. We don't want Tyler Shuck. We didn't want Jack Plummer doing it last year. We don't want Tyler Shuck doing it this year, just dropping back and falling behind early and trying to work yourself out of obvious passing situations, right? Their run game and their play action game is really good, and Shuck can make big throws downfield if he's given the space and the windows to do that, and the run game is supporting him, right? So you make a good point. The one thing Louisville doesn't want to do is fall behind and drop back and throw into this Notre Dame secondary. I like Ja'Cory Brooks. I like Colin Lacey, but Ben Morrison and those guys in the second, that's the best part of their football team by far. You could argue all around it's the best secondary in the country. That's not where you want to attack them. I would not expect Jeff Brom to do it at least without play action. Maybe you get an early shot to get the safeties out of the box and move some people around, but I don't think they're going to be attacking this secondary a whole lot.
Definitely. So Dalton, does Notre Dame keep their playoff hopes alive, or will Louisville pretty much end those playoff aspirations only week 5 of the season?
There are 2 things that have me leaning towards Louisville in this game on the road. And one, they beat Notre Dame last year and they out-physicaled them. And I know Notre Dame they were on like a stretch of consecutive primetime games, and honestly, it kind of
remember that? They played like 6 straight primetime games against like unreal opponents.
4 or 5 primetime national TV, like the biggest game. They played the biggest game of the week like 5 weeks in a row, and I think Louisville was like the 5th one. Yeah. And by the time they got there, they just ran out of gas and they couldn't catch Jawar Jordan and all that. But right now, to me, last year's Notre Dame offense was better than this one. It was more well-rounded. The offensive line, you had Joe Alt and Blake Fisher up front, right? You had a younger offensive line this year, but this Louisville defensive line is nasty. It is so nasty, led by Ashton Gelati. They're super physical. They're so good in run defense, and if Notre Dame can't find anything over the top, just like last year they really couldn't. I believe Sam Hartman threw 3 picks in that game. It just fell apart on them when Louisville forced them to throw the football. I think they held Audric Estime to like 30 yards or something in that game too. It just, they stopped the run. They made Notre Dame throw the football. I think it could be a very similar dynamic this year. I'm taking Louisville 24-20.
Wow. Okay. I will disagree with you on this one. I'm going with Notre Dame in this game, 27-23 final score. I think the Notre Dame defense will step up. I think the Louisville passing attack will really, really struggle in this game. And I like Jeremiah Love. I like him better than any of the Louisville running backs they have right now, even though Louisville's been really good running the ball. I think Notre Dame's going to do it. It's at home, too. It's in South Bend. I think Notre Dame's going to win this game 27-23, led by their defense, and they're going to keep their playoff hopes alive by beating Louisville in a close one in this game.
My other thing, too, is I would be less convinced if I didn't just see what Louisville's run D did to Georgia Tech last week. Holding Georgia Tech to, what is it, like 2.5 yards a carry somewhere.
It's impressive.
36 carries and 98 yards for a Georgia Tech run game that's really dynamic with Haynes and Haynes back there.
Yep.
That's really impressive. I mean, I understand Louisville's first 2 games. You go, okay, it was a soft first 2 games. FCS team, Jacksonville State is really struggling. But you do that to Georgia Tech, you have my attention. So I'm not even sure that Notre Dame's run game is better than Georgia Tech's is, honestly.
Yeah, Daryl Turner in the chat says he liked the under in this game. I think I kind of agree with
Yeah, I'm in on that.
The under,
I could see that. I don't know where it's at, but these are 2 really good defenses.
Yeah, really, really good defenses. So, yeah, we both are disagreeing on this one. I'm taking Notre Dame in this one, and Dalton is taking Louisville.